Welcome to Formative Assessment for California Teachers, also known as FACT. Hi, this is Teresa Stringer with the Irvine Unified School District Beginning Teacher Support and Assessment Program. In this video, we are going to take a look at Module E, Self-Assessment. The purpose of Module E is twofold. One, participating teachers will collect evidence of their application and demonstration of the California Standards for the Teaching Profession, CSTPs, and the BITS induction standards within their classrooms. And two, completion of Module E will be used as the focus for the winter and spring reviews. Year 1 and Year 2 participating teachers collect evidence for different standards each year, and those CSTPs are embedded in either Module E Year 1 or Module E Year 2. As in everything in education, BITS induction has its own set of standards. The standards that directly impact participating teachers and support providers are Induction Standard 5, Pedagogy, and Standard 6, Universal Access. The induction standards are carefully embedded in CSTP's essential standards that have been specifically chosen by the Irvine BITSA leadership team.
This is a page break.
I would like to take a moment and explain the overall process of Module E for both Year 1 and Year 2. Along with the support provider, participating teachers will collect evidence of application and demonstration of each CSTP element and hyperlink it to the Module E document. During the course of the 40-minute review, the new teacher will sit between the BITSA reviewer and their support provider at a computer. The BITSA reviewer will facilitate the review by asking questions of the participating teacher while discussing evidence found throughout Module E. If any evidence is missing at the time of the review, the reviewer will determine if a follow-up review is necessary, and program leadership will schedule an additional review. For this reason, we highly recommend you conduct a mock review to make sure the hyperlinks work, there's ample evidence. The participating teacher can explain their evidence and all necessary documents are complete. In Review 1, Module A, Module B, Part 1, Part 2, and Module E Part 1 will be discussed. In the second review in the spring, Module C, Module D, Module E Part 2 will be completed. This is a section of the FACT page, Module E, Reflections on Teaching and Learning. You'll notice that there is the video link and then two documents. Year 1 Module E and Year 2 Module E.
This is a page break.
Materials needed. To have a successful review, consider some of these materials that you may want to have while you're completing your document. You need your flash drive. If there's any missing documents, you can find them all on our website. All documents must be saved to the flash drive. You may want to use the expanded elements. This is a resource found at the bottom of the IUSD FACT page. I'm going to show it to you now. This is the BITSA website, which is found on our Human Resources page. If you go on the FACT page, scroll down to the bottom of the documents, you'll see there is an expanded Essential CSTPs for Year 1 and expanded Essential CSTPs for Year 2. You'll also notice there's Essential Standards Evidence Ideas. This was created by our very own support providers and recently updated in October. You are going to need pictures and more pictures. Pictures can include participating teacher teaching in the classroom, student activities, student work, short videos. Also, you may want to refer to the guideline, formerly known as the cheat sheet, on how to complete Module E successfully, and the Essential Standard Evidence Ideas. I'm going to explain a page of Module E step by step. Once the first element is done, then you will need to move on to the next until all 6 are complete and ready for review. You'll notice there in blue is the California Standard for the Teaching Profession. In this case, it's CSTP 1, engaging and supporting all students in learning. And then in black, you'll see the Essential Standard. It uses a variety of instructional strategies, resources, and technology to meet student diverse needs. You'll notice there are basic instructions at the top of the first page of Module E. You can also use the updated guideline as a quick reference at any point while you're completing the module. Step 1. In the first section, you will collect 2 pieces of strong, obvious evidence of how you have applied and demonstrated the specific CSTP element in your teaching practice. This evidence can be collected in various ways, such as it may have been observed and noted by your support provider in their observation notes. You may include copies of student work. You may take pictures of students actively participating in class, a project, group work, and/or you may ask your support provider or students to take pictures of you teaching in class. It is not acceptable to include a picture of a new teacher at the front of the room with no students visible. The reviewer will need to see evidence of student learning. Evidence that is also not acceptable includes copies of PowerPoint presentations or blank worksheets. The PowerPoint presentation is acceptable if it includes a picture of the teacher using it in class or it is observed by the support provider. When including your evidence, make sure to answer the following questions. What is the evidence? I know I keep repeating application and demonstration, but this is where we need to see evidence of you teaching using the standard within your classroom. Module 6 may be the only exception to this rule because the standard is so specific to professionalism. How is the evidence related to the standard? This is where you want to make sure your evidence represents an expanded element of the standard. Please refer to the Expanded Elements page for more specific details of the evidence needed for each standard. Where is it found? This refers to the location the evidence can be found on the flash drive. If you are using a support provider observation, please document the time where the evidence can be found in the observation. Make sure to date all entries. Out of all 4 entries, at least one piece of evidence must be from something other than the support provider observation. You don't need to worry about this as much until the second review in the spring.
This is another page break.
In the second section, along with the support provider, the participating teacher will look at the evidence collected in the first section and determine where they are that day on the continuum of teaching practice. In the first review, please highlight the key words and phrases that represent the evidence and where you are on the continuum. You will want to highlight words and phrases from both rows. Then you will determine which column most represents you. Once the column is determined, mark today's date at the bottom. In the second review in the spring, please underline the key words and phrases that the evidence represents where you are on the continuum. So for the first review, you will highlight, and in the spring review, you will underline.
This is one more page break.
In the last section of the page, the participating teacher will want to look at where they mark themselves on the continuum of teaching practice and identify areas of continued professional growth that they would like to focus on in the future relative to the essential standard. This is not to be a reiteration of the expanded element, but rather a specific teaching practice they would like to try within their classroom with their students. In this section, be true to yourself when identifying where you are on the continuum. Many of our best teachers place themselves in the columns of emerging and exploring. Please consider when something is new and you haven't taught it before, it is hard to be integrating.
This is a page break.
Here's a review of Module E steps. Step 1, the first section where you include your evidence and hyperlink. Section 2, where you identify where you are on the continuum of teaching practice. And Step 3, identifying areas of continued growth.
This is one more page break.
In this part of the video, I want to share some helpful hints that you may find helpful in your success in completing Module E. While you're teaching this year, take pictures, lots of pictures, and even short videos of students working, students' activities, teacher teaching, and facilitating lessons, etc. Use a guideline as a resource to make sure you didn't miss anything. 2 pieces of evidence for each essential standard are necessary. If you only have 1 at the first review, you will be responsible for 3 at the final review. If you only have 1 piece of evidence for all 6 standards, the reviewer will probably ask you to return for an additional review. The opposite is also true if you have 3 at the first review. You will still be responsible for adding 2 new pieces of evidence for the spring review. It's much easier to just stick with the 2 pieces of evidence for each review. You're also going to want to check hyperlinks and make sure that they are linked to your flash drive. A mock review is also a good idea for both you and the support provider to make sure that you are on the right track. Did I mention you should take lots of pictures? It is vital and will help your review run much smoother. That was a quick overview of Module E. Any additional questions, please contact your lead support provider at the next BITSA meeting. I hope you found this video useful. Until the next module.
Thank you.